Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto x Ember x Desiree x Jazz? Part 2. If you want more awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. A presence sparked, causing Naruto to jolt up. In his room, a huge blue swirl opened. Out of the portal was a spirit with blue skin and multicolored robes, and glowing red eyes. Naruto was about to pull out the echo but the figure, and had his hand raised in a non-threatening manner. No need to fight me. I am not your enemy but friend. Naruto, while skeptical, kept up his guard but did not attack. Thank you for listening to reason. I am Clockwork, primordial of time. The reason I am here is because you have piqued my interest. Oh, how so? You are an anomaly from beyond this realm. Normally such intruders would be vacated or eliminated, but by reading the time stream your presence here will bring more good than harm. There had to be more to it than that. Something on the level of a primordial wouldn't just show themselves for no reason. As you are probably thinking, there is more to my reason than being here. Naruto didn't even react in surprise. A master of time would obviously saw all variations of how this conversation would go down. I take it you want my help with something? I come to you with an offer. I am looking for a guardian and trainer for the one you know as DannyPhantom. With a wave of his hand, he materialized a silvery white bead with 3 interlocking sides of different design forming a circle. Me? I hardly know a thing about the ghosts of this dimension. What could I teach him? The badge Naruto was handed glowed and formed into the shape of a white book. On it were glowing markings he couldn't quite make out. The book then opened. On its pages words and images formed. This is the Tome of Forever Pages. On its pages is all the knowledge pertinent to the supernatural world. Not to mention you will be occasionally called upon to deal with supernatural threats. In exchange I will assist you with the threats that will befall you and yours. Until next time, Uzumaki, Clockwork said as he started to float to the portal, but not before turning to the blonde with a smile and said, or should I say Twilight Night? And with that the primordial left, and the portal vanished. Well, that's one way to wake up. Naruto, before his cell phone began vibrating. Upon opening it, he saw it was a text from Sam. He wondered what crazy idea she was up to now. So, Saturday night plans? I say we hit the amusement park. I hear the new roller coaster has a freefall that will take 3 years off your life expectancy, Sam suggested. The quartet were at the Nasty Burger. We're sitting in the booth. If you guys want, I can cover all the food, Naruto offered generously before adding, but you'll still have to find a way for the tickets and for transportation. No way, Tucker argued. It costs $80 just for the tickets alone. Hey, if you're tapped out, I could lend you the cash, Sam offered. Unfortunately, with lending meaning having to repay sometime, that is not at my reach in the moment, right, Danny? Tucker said to Danny, but when he didn't get an answer, he tried again. Danny? Hello? Though their attention was drawn to that of the cheers of excitement as popular and semi-popular kids were invited to Dash's party on Saturday, including Paulina. Great! It's going to be the hottest party of the whole school year, and Paulina's going to be there, and I'm not, again, Danny grumbled, turning his attention back to the group. I don't understand what you see in her, Sam said, glaring at the Hispanic girl. Sam, she's pretty and popular. For a lot of teenage boys that is enough, Naruto coolly remarked. Speaking of which, said girl flickered her hair as she made her stride to the table. Naruto, I'm hoping you will be coming to my party, she strongly urged while batting her eyes. I'll consider it, thanks, he answered politely as he ignored the looks his companion sent him. How do you do it? You don't even try and Paulina flocks to you. It's so not fair, Danny exclaimed as he buried his head in his arms as he rested his forehead on the table. Oh come on, where's our invites? Tucker whined as he proceeded to count off a list of perceived traits. We've got style, charm, good looks, at least I do anyway. Yes, the oversized red cap and glasses speak style, Naruto dryly remarked. Don't look now, but trouble seems to be heading our way. Naruto added, but to his surprise slapped down an invite in front of Danny. Here. Your sister made me invite you, added bitterly. Show up, shut it, go home, and nobody gets hurt. He then left. No way, Danny exclaimed as he looked at the invite as if it was some holy text spelling out the cure to life's ailments. I can't believe it! I'm invited! There was no disgusting the glee on his face. What's there to be surprised about? From what I heard, with one word, your sister could run this school. As valedictorian, the teachers love her. With her beauty, the guys want her. And with her overall likable personality, the only girls that hate her are either jealous or not a fan of the whole paranormal angle of your family. For a moment he had considered throwing the invitation away but decided against it. At the very least, the party would do as a nice distraction from the job, and it would be one of the few choices he got to make. As expected of one of the popular kids' home, Paulina's home was a multi-stories house which looked like it could house at least 12 rooms. At the very least, a large real estate that made up their yard, which had enough room to house a pool, a tennis court, and even more room for a large garden, would heavily contribute to its value. As Naruto glanced around, all he could see was a near-endless sea of strangers until he spotted some of the A-list girls out on the dance floor. He paid them little mind as he dropped off a gift card at the table of presents. Going over to the refreshment table, Naruto served himself some punch. Smacking his lips, he felt a slight shiver through his body. Hey, you made it! The mix of honeyed glee and auditory pleasant accent belonged to only one person. Evening Paulina. Taking in her appearance, he noticed she was in a light mocha-colored dress that cut off mid-thigh and was laced at the bottom and arms, along with a V-neck outline to which she was making the most out of by leaning forward to tease her cleavage. Someone spiked your punch bowl, by the way, he pointed out as she swore in Spanish. Ugh, idiots are going to get me grounded for life, she mumbled under her breath. Well, we have other refreshments in the kitchen. I can show you, she offered, casting the blonde a flirty look. Before he could answer, he was bumped into by a much taller person. Watch it, kid! The rude party attender snapped at Naruto, who looked affronted, but wasn't so affronted he would immediately snap into fight. This is lame. I thought your cousin said this was one of the best parties of the year in this hick town. The speaker was a tall and muscular-built brunette with hazel eyes and looked to be a few years older than the other partygoers, wearing a plain t-shirt and jeans. I guess to the little trout this would be considered lit, laughed the other guy. He was blonde and built like an athlete, and wearing the same style of clothes as the other. If you guys are going to be rude, then leave. Being rude to one of her guests and insulting her party was more than enough to fire up the Latina. The blonde just stared at her before giving a flirty grin. Well, I wouldn't say everything is lame. How about you come with me and I show you a real party? Thanks, but you're not my type. Sure, he was an older and good-looking guy, but he seemed like one of those idiot frat boys, and there was a reason why, despite her options among the entire male student body, she was single. She wanted a loving and happy relationship like her grandparents had, and since she was raised by mostly her father, she wanted a strong and dependable guy. Oh, don't be like that. Why stay with these boys when you can be with a man? The blonde suggested while trying to snake his arm around Paulina. He let out a cry of pain as Naruto roughly seized his wrist. I believe she said no. And if anything, you're more of a predator than a man trying to prey on a girl. Naruto tossed his hand back, nearly causing the wannabe player to stumble back. The brunette chortled, come on Tom, let it go. You really want to get into a fight with a high schooler and get a mark on your record? While it was funny to see his friend knock down a peg, he had to agree with that kid that he was being aggressive towards the high school girl. Tom flared his nostrils before locking his eyes on the two for a few seconds before huffing and taking off to start trying to put some moves on some of the other girls. Thank you for standing up to me, that was brave of you, she said, placing a chaste kiss on his cheek. She then suddenly grabbed his hand. Dance with me? Unable to come up with a reasonable excuse, Naruto relented and allowed her to lead him out to the dance floor. He wasn't sure how much time had passed, but he found himself beginning to unwind and enjoy the party. Paulina was proving herself to be excellent company. Despite what most people thought of her, she was anything but a ditz. For instance, she maintained a 3.2 grade point average and had secret aspirations to be a veterinarian if her primary plan to be a dancer didn't work out. Funnily enough, for most of her youth, she was actually in gymnastics before puberty hit hard and threw off her keen sense of balance, or at least in that field to which she began channeling into dancing. Despite being part of the shallow food chain system of the school, the Latina had plenty of traits that made her more than likable besides her looks. You know, I wasn't sure what to make of you when you first came to the school, Paulina admitted as she led Naruto to the second-floor balcony away from the party so they could talk without having to shout over the music or voices of the other partygoers. To be fair, whatever you thought of me was going to be better than the painted perception I was given of you. He teased her, bringing up her popularity. Paulina let out a sad chuckle. That's Sam for you. One-track mind and infinitely stubborn. Naruto raised an eyebrow in confusion. He was under the impression the two didn't know each other that well. Did he miss something? Paulina quickly changed her expression before leaning closer to Naruto. Either way, I am so glad you came. I feel. Her face began to flush red as the distance between them was non-existent as they could feel the breath on each other's lips. That was when Paulina went to her tippy toes and pressed her lips against his. Naruto was a bit caught off by the sudden kiss, but the sweet sensation of her soft lips flamed desires within he had gone so long without. Snaking his arms around her waist, he brought her closer as her soft breasts pressed against his chest. He then lightly put his tongue on her lips, asking for entrance. A moment later she parted her lips and both tongues entered each other's mouth, making them taste each other. He's so toned, Paulina thought as her hands came a rest on his arm and chest in particular. He was the right mix of buff yet slim, so he wasn't hulking like some jocks yet still gave off an aura and build of strength. I shouldn't be doing this, after all. The guilt the blonde was filling by a voice suddenly entering his head. No. Tonight you're just you. I was wrong. They were wrong. You're not just my shadow and you deserve to have your own life. I won't rob you of your childhood like mine was in. Just enjoy yourself. 7th. We'll talk about this later. Cutting the connection, Naruto realized they were no longer on the balcony and had been led to a room. It was a pristine room with a queen-size bed, standard dressers with windows and other standard commodities of a common guest room. This way we won't be disturbed. You don't think the people will wonder where the birthday girl went off to? Naruto wondered as Paulina locked the door behind her. Valerie and Star can keep things rolling without me, but you do bring up a good point. As the birthday girl, I think it's time I continue enjoying myself, she said as she grabbed Naruto and dragged him onto the bed to continue where they left off. Good morning, Paulina mutters against his chest. They are tangled in each other's arms and legs under the sheets. The room was dark and cold. She feels his fingers travel down her back and a shiver runs down her spine. It was a pretty wild night. There was dancing and drinking and crying and stuff with only the two of them. They had slipped away from the party, just the two of them, and drank expensive wine stolen from her father's wine cellar. When she had too much wine in her system and couldn't even stand up properly, she spilled everything to him. How much she hated the pressures of the food chain, how much she hates the sound of birds chirping in the morning, how much she hates having to only intermingle with those of her social status, or it would stain their family name, as her mother put it. He listened to her without saying anything, just holding her and letting her talk, crying all the time. How they ended up in bed like this. It feels really good to be able to hear his heartbeat against his strong chest. She chews on her bottom lip and traces lazy circles on his arm. He shifts slightly on the bed and wraps his arms around her waist tighter. His other hand takes a strand of her hair and twirls it around his finger before placing a soft kiss on it. I love your hair, he whispers, voice heavy from sleep. It has such a nice sheen to it, and so well taken care of color. She gets butterflies when she hears him talk, like now for example. She loves the way he talks, so confident and with a sense of warmth and easiness. Her face heats up at the thought of last night, and buries her face in his chest. He smells like sweat and sleep, with a hint of his cologne still clinging around. We need to get up. The maids will be here soon, she mutters, feeling the vibrations against her face when he chuckles. Well then, let's get cleaned up and go get breakfast, what do you think? He suggests, lifting her head to look him in the eyes with his finger. She blinks a few times before shaking her head. Pulling herself into a sitting position, she straddles his stomach, with her nose against hers. I concur with that idea, she says, placing a soft kiss against his lips. His corner of his lips curves into a smirk and turns, pinning her down, earning a surprised squeal from her. They'll definitely come running if you make yelps like that. In response, she grabbed a pillow and swung it back, swatting him. Shut up, she replied, her cheeks burning red. She didn't protest and let him pull her into his chest. She squeaks when he lifts her off of her feet, carrying her bridal style to her closest. Bejamel tanto, puedo caminar por mí mismo. She squeals, slipping into her native tongue. Naruto wasn't quite sure what she said, probably something about putting her down, but he decided to play the fool nonetheless. After the eventful morning with Paulina, Naruto proceeded to call Danny up. It was Sunday, and it being a non-school day meant it was perfect time for training and studying. And while Sam and Tucker could prove to be valuable support or sidekicks if they were brought up to speed, he didn't really feel like dealing with protests and complaints of them while he and Danny trained. Currently Naruto's, since he had a dozen copies out, were going through all the books that were written by Danny's parents. Despite what he figured was invaluable wealth of knowledge from experts, his friend didn't seem as enthused as talking about his parents' obsession with the paranormal. Each book was a collection of its own. One was a collection of lab reports that dated as far back as nearly 3 decades, and going by the dates, this most data was consistent testing throughout the years. Another one was a log of experiments as thick as a log book, and then it continued on with grotesque images of dissections and experiments. As he flipped through some of the images, it made his stomach turn. While he had killed, what he was seeing before him was more or less equivalent. The only thing that softened the blow was that most of the ghosts had been animals. At least they had been until he came to one that was humanoid, though nonetheless no less spectral. It looked like a conjoined twin, but with 3 heads. Similar reactions to what pain would be expected from a human. That one sentence among others stood out among the data. Looking up from his book, see the dread and fear slowly build up on Danny's face. I'm getting stiff. He tactfully grabbed the book by the edges to prevent another page from being turned. We should probably train. Yeah, I guess that is what we came out for. If there was anything Naruto was good at, then it was recognizing a false smile. He decided not to call Danny on it so they could train. Going over the list of Danny's powers and what he read from not only the book he got from Clockwork, but from the Fenton's ghost, and Danny was already far more powerful than ghosts his age would normally be. Most ghosts were quantified into the mental/telekinetic power spectrum, meaning they could go intangible and invisible, or for the stronger ones possess a host. The type of concentration it took for those powers were aligned with the mental energies channeled psychically. As a result, mental energies could be built with age by simply existing over a period of time. The physical energies were a different category altogether, as it relied on channeling the aspect of their soul. This channeling was often connected to a ghost obsession, which would be the focal point of not only their behavior but their power as well. So that left 2 questions. What kind of power would Danny develop, and did he have an obsession? 4 hours had passed and Danny was getting the grasp on the fundamentals. He was able to accurately aim and fine-tune his spectral blasts, which gave the Naruto the added benefit of training on sensing and dodging the spectral blasts. Being the energies of the afterlife, they had a very distinct sensation that set it vastly apart from nature energy. He could also easily transform and untransform at will, and flying through the trees while dodging Naruto's attacks helped with his coordination and reaction time. Another successful day of improvement was signified by the sun setting. Jazz will be getting back soon, so I'd better get back now or she'll fret over me. Paulina Sanchez may have been blessed with many things, but having a good poker face was definitely not one of those things. After being pestered by her friends non-stop about her happy attitude, she finally admitted, much to her embarrassment, that she had a good time last night, and it wasn't at Dash's party. Wow, hard to believe you of all people could be so forward with someone, Valerie said in a teasing voice, making the Latina blush even more. You had me freaking when I couldn't find you after the party. Star whined at her, to which Paulina winced and uttered a sorry. Oh, lighten up, Star, Valerie said, giving her a light push. So she bumped lips with the cutie at the party. If I had found me a fine one, would have told y'all you had to holla back at me tomorrow too. Would it kill for me to get some play besides the usual tro? The blonde shrilly whined with a pout and folding her arms. So who was it from the A-list? Which jock was it? Actually, well, he's not officially part of the food chain. Both her friends looked at her confused. Now wait a minute, you mean, no flipping way. Valerie slowly put the pieces together. The only people there were part of the food chain with the exception of 2 invitees. Fenton? She asked, her voice going up half an octave and her eye raised in surprise and confusion. While Fenton didn't seem to be a bad guy, he carried a rather big social stigma thanks to his parents. The Fenton parents were the definition of social suicide and didn't run around in any social circles that most of the elite, or even normal people, considered normal. It was rare or odd for any of the adults to see the duos outside of their labs for anything non-ghost related, after all. What? No. I told you I insisted to Dash he invited the new guy, Naruto, remember? Damn girl, you work fast. So tell me, how long till you had him wrap around your finger? Star inquired, prodding and poking her best friend for information. When the only answer she got was the darkening of her friend's cheeks, her eyes slowly widened. Wait a minute, what exactly happened? Well, let's just say there was more than kissing, she admitted as she covered her face with her hand. No way in hell! Valerie exclaimed in surprise. So what does this mean? Are you two going to start dating? Are you a couple now? The last question put a damper in the Latina's mood. Upon seeing her friend's expression, Valerie grew concerned and a little bit angry, as she perceived that reaction to mean only one thing. Paulina looked up and picked up on the line of thought that must have been going through the girl's head. Out of the 3 of them, Valerie was the most outspoken and hot-headed of the 3. It was usually her that stuck up for them against the older girls of the food chain, especially Connie and Lonnie. We're not sure what we are, and he didn't hit and quitted Val. Even saying that phrase caused a tremor of disgust to course through Paulina's back. It's just, well, he's friends with Manson, and that makes things a bit awkward. Sam had always been a rather taboo subject in regards to Paulina. Most of what they knew were second-hand accounts, as Paulina herself never went into the subject. All they knew were that Paulina and Sam were childhood friends that had a falling out. For as long as they'd been friends, they respected that maybe one day that she would open up to them about what happened. Screams jolted the girls from their topic of conversation as all matter of technological devices from TVs to phones and vehicles began to hover in the air. The electronics floated around the floating monitor before merging together, smoothing out to create a robotic battlesuit. While ghost attacks and appearances had been amped up, the whole thing with the meat monster had been considered a one-off freak incident. But now, with the appearance of this tech monstrosity, this day would be the day that ghost attacks would be a codified part of the happenings of Amity Park. I am Technus, master of all things mechanical. And once I complete my construction, you will all succumb to my awesome power. They were trudging down the hallway of Casper High, each of them carrying a bulky box emblazoned with the words "Save the Frogs," and a large symbol of a crossed-out frog. Naruto shot Sam an exasperated look. So, care to explain why we're all on the express path to a hernia, Sam? Sam, the group's goth, animal-loving friend, smiled mischievously. Frogs' rights, Naruto. We have to stop the dissection of frogs in our biology labs, and at today's assembly, I'm going to show everyone a humane alternative. Okay, fair enough, Naruto relented, adjusting his grip on the box. But why are these things so heavy? Sam placed her own box on the floor and cracked it open. From inside, she pulled out a frog-shaped mechanical device oozing with some kind of synthetic fluid. Because they're packed full of these, she said proudly, holding up the squishy, vibrating robot frog. It croaked and beeped in her hands. Please remove my detachable three-chambered heart, it rasped in a robotic voice. Danny, Tucker, and Naruto exchanged cautious looks, while Sam merely beamed. Well, Naruto muttered, it's definitely better than dissecting actual frogs. Danny and Tucker both nodded, then fell silent when Danny felt a sudden, familiar chill race up his spine. An icy green wisp escaped his mouth, a telltale sign of ghostly interference. Before anyone could react, a plume of green smoke mushroomed from Sam's box. Startled, she flung her robot frog away, and it landed unceremoniously on Tucker's head. Gah! Get it off me! Tucker yelped, flailing dramatically. The swirling ectoplasm in front of them began to take shape, forming into a person dressed like a herpetologist, overalls, thick boots, and a wide-brimmed hat. His figure solidified, and he tipped his hat at the group with a croaking laugh. Great, Danny grumbled under his breath, another ghost. The stranger smirked. Name's Croak, he announced, his voice husky and wet-sounding, and I can't let you take my precious frogs away. Dissecting them helps me figure out how to protect them. We're really not looking for a fight today, Naruto interjected, stepping forward. Do us both a favor and leave. Croak's grin widened. Try to make me. Just then, the school bell rang, and students began flooding the hallway. Danny glanced at the thickening crowd. Not here, he hissed, lowering his voice. Too many people around. Croak's body wavered and flickered like a mirage. Fine. Meet me in the biology lab if you want to settle this. Let's see how that alternative of yours holds up. In a puff of green smoke, he vanished. Nearby students were gaping, but the four friends did their best to look casual. Tucker finally succeeded in prying the robotic frog from his head. Sam's eyes narrowed with resolve. We need a plan, and fast. We can't let him keep hurting real frogs. Danny nodded. We'll get through morning classes, then meet in the lab at lunch. Be ready. Morning classes dragged on painfully. Each of them was preoccupied by the looming confrontation. Danny stayed alert for any ghostly signs. Sam fiddled with her robotic frog design, making last-minute improvements. Tucker discreetly hacked into the school's security system from the computer lab, ensuring they wouldn't be interrupted. Naruto focused on recalling everything he knew about toads and amphibians, hoping it might offer insight into Croak's possible abilities. At last, the lunch bell rang, and they regrouped in front of the biology lab. The corridor was unusually empty as most students headed to the cafeteria. All set? Danny asked, scanning their faces. Sam nodded, holding her frog device. Ready. Naruto cracked his knuckles. Bring it on. Tucker wiggled his eyebrows. Let's do this. By the way, I found out the janitor has a secret donut stash. We might want to. Tucker, focus, Danny said with a grin as he pushed open the lab door. Inside, the lights were dim, and everything was coated in an eerie green glow of ectoplasmic residue. Croak stood in the center of the room, tipping his hat in mock courtesy. Ah, you're here. I was starting to think you'd chicken out. He sneered. We gave you a chance to leave, Danny warned, his eyes flashing with green energy. Croak chuckled, raising a hand to fire off a barrage of ectoplasmic blasts. I'm not leaving without a fight. Danny met the blasts head-on, erecting a protective shield for his friends. The impact shook the room, sending up sparks of ghostly light. Spread out, he shouted. Don't let him corner us. Naruto dashed around the lab in a blur, seeking an opening. The moment he saw one, he lunged, Rasengan at the ready, narrowly missing Croak, who dodged just in time. The swirling ball of chakra gouged a crater in the wall. Impressive, Croak remarked, but it'll take more than that. He summoned a massive spectral frog that leaped toward Naruto, who barely evaded its crushing weight. Tucker, meanwhile, dashed to the back of the lab to access the control panel. "I'm activating Sam's robot frogs," Tucker hollered, his fingers racing over the keyboard. "Just hold him off a few more seconds." Meanwhile, Danny and Croak were locked in a fierce duel, their blasts colliding in midair, filling the room with brilliant flashes of green and blue. Danny grimaced, pouring more energy into his counterattacks. "You don't have to do this, Croak," he shouted over the thunderous clashes. "Stop before someone gets hurt." Croak's croaking laugh echoed. "Where's the fun in that?" Naruto summoned his spectral sword, Echo, which glowed faintly. He dashed behind Croak and slashed through the ghost's defenses, making Croak howl in shock and pain. "What is that thing?" Croak snarled, recoiling from Echo's blade. Naruto didn't answer. He simply pressed his advantage, landing several more hits that caused the ghost's form to flicker. Just then, Sam's robotic frogs activated with a triumphant series of beeps. "Go!" Sam shouted. The small machines hopped and skittered toward Croak, targeting the ectoplasmic energy emanating from his body. Alarmed, Croak tried to bat them away with ghostly tendrils, but there were too many. They latched on, mechanical legs clamping tight. "It's over, Croak!" Danny yelled. "You're outnumbered." Croak's frantic thrashing only intensified. "You think a handful of kids and some toy frogs can stop me?" But the more he struggled, the weaker he became. Sam's eyes lit up triumphantly. "It's working!" "Let's finish this," Naruto called. Danny nodded, gathering ghostly energy for one final attack. "Ready when you are." Naruto delivered a decisive slash, disrupting Croak's stability. At the same moment, Danny unleashed a powerful ectoplasmic blast. The combined force, bolstered by the relentless attacks from the robotic frogs, overwhelmed Croak completely. "No!" Croak roared, his form flickering. "I won't be beaten by kids." With a final, thunderous explosion of energy, Croak disintegrated and was hurled back into the ghost zone, leaving the lab covered in lingering ectoplasmic dust. The four friends panted heavily amidst the wreckage. "We did it," Tucker said, a grin splitting his face. "And my hair still looks awesome." Danny let his glow subside, breathing a sigh of relief. "Glad that's over." Sam knelt to pick up one of her now slightly scorched robot frogs. "They worked. They actually worked." "You were brilliant, Sam," Naruto said, offering her a proud smile. "We couldn't have done it without your invention." She blushed, waving him off. It was a team effort. In the days that followed, the strange incident in the biology lab became fodder for rumor, but the real details stayed hidden, as usual. Sam's robotic frogs were officially adopted for biology class, drawing the principal's praise over the loudspeaker. And thanks to Samantha Manson, the principal's voice boomed through the school's speakers. "Our science department is at the forefront of humane education. Let's give her a round of applause." Naturally, Danny, Naruto, Sam, and Tucker stayed on high alert for any new supernatural threats. They'd won this round, but they all knew their work was far from over. After all, when ghosts came calling, Team Phantom always had to be ready for the next battle. Amity Park's late afternoon sun cascaded across the front steps of Casper High. Students poured out of the double doors, eager to escape the final bell of the day. Among them strode Naruto wearing dark orange cargo pants, black sneakers with orange laces, and a fitted black t-shirt. Just off to his right, Danny Phantom in his usual casual jeans and a white and red t-shirt, kept glancing around as though anticipating ghostly trouble. Tucker Foley, with his green cargo pants, a red t-shirt, and trademark techno-goggles perched atop his buzz-cut head, fiddled with his PDA, scanning for ectoplasmic spikes. And a step behind them, arms crossed and wearing her customary ensemble of a black tank top, purple skirt, striped tights, and chunky boots, strode Sam Manson. Her dark bobbed hair framed a pale face set in mild annoyance. A silver ink necklace glinted at her throat. They were an unlikely quartet: warrior, half-ghost, tech genius, and goth activist, but they had become a team, forged in supernatural battles. Still, not everything in their bond was perfect. "Sam," Naruto began, turning to face her with an air of quiet firmness, "we need to talk about what happened in the lab earlier." She halted mid-step, scowl forming. "What do you mean, what happened?" "We disagreed, again, on what we're doing with the frog dissection protest. That's all." Danny cast a worried glance at Tucker, who sighed, stuffing his PDA in his pocket. The tension in the group had been rising for days now. Naruto exhaled, crossing his arms over his chest. "It's not just about the frogs. You keep acting like your view is the only moral stance, and if we're not on board exactly how you want us to be, we're the bad guys." Sam's violet eyes flashed, her black lips pressing into a thin line. "Well, excuse me for wanting people to stop chopping up animals for pointless labs. Maybe if you weren't so caught up in your own." "Knock it off." Naruto's voice cut through the conversation with surprising authority. Gone was the usual friendly goofiness that occasionally peeked out from him. The corridor's remaining students paused, drawn by his raised tone. Danny moved to usher them aside, giving the group privacy. A flicker of hurt crossed Sam's features, but she straightened, defiant. "You can't just tell me to knock it off. I'm not a child, Naruto." He took in a measured breath, trying to stay calm. "I'm not saying that. But you're steamrolling the rest of us, especially me. I respect your passion. But I have my own perspectives. You rarely listen." Tucker cleared his throat. Guys, maybe we can talk this out somewhere else? People are staring." Sam turned on her heel, black boots stomping. "Fine. I'm going home. You can all do whatever you want." She stomped off, leaving an awkward silence in her wake. Danny let out a sigh, shoulders slumping. "Man, this is getting worse. We need to fix things or the team's going to fall apart." Naruto watched her go, face taut. "Yeah. But right now, maybe she needs to cool off, and maybe I do too." The tension in his voice was clear. He'd had enough of Sam's combative attitude, and for once, he wasn't going to be the one to yield. That evening, Naruto retreated to the small studio apartment he had leased. He needed to find a means to start earning money, as the small portfolio he had was only going to last him another 18 months based on the bills and such from his estimate. His phone pinged. Grateful for the distraction, he checked the screen. A name popped up that sent a ripple of surprise, and a flicker of something else through him: Paulina Sanchez. Memories of that night flooded in his mind, the way she'd lingered near him, her laughter at his jokes, how she'd opened up about feeling overshadowed by the local celebrities, and how she sometimes felt lonely despite her popularity. The night had ended in a deeply personal conversation and more. It had been quite intimate, though neither had labeled their connection as anything yet. "Paulina, hey Naruto. I'm hosting a little get-together at my place tonight. Thought you might like to come. Bring that confident vibe of yours. Winky face." He considered the tension with Sam, the incessant ghost hunts, and the swirl of confusion in his life. Maybe time spent with Paulina wouldn't be the worst thing. Despite her status as Casper High's Queen Bee, she'd been surprisingly empathetic toward him as an outsider in Amity Park. And that night at her party, he wouldn't deny it was a rush of closeness he hadn't expected. Typing quickly, he responded. "Sure, I'll come by. Need the break. Thanks for inviting me." A beep indicated her swift reply. "Paulina, great. See you soon. 3. Naruto stood, heading to the closet. He swapped his school t-shirt for a fitted black hoodie with orange highlights around the sleeves, pulled on cargo jeans, and slid on a pair of sturdy but stylish running shoes. A quick glance in the mirror, and he decided he was good to go. Outside, Amity Park's twilight was a swirl of neon from passing cars and the faint glow of streetlights. Naruto summoned a small burst of chakra to leap across a short fence, making for a faster route. He found a thrill in using his shinobi abilities so casually here, even though only his closest allies truly understood them. Paulina's house was a spacious, pastel-yellow suburban home with bright white trim. The lawn was immaculate, dotted with garden lights that highlighted a circular driveway. Naruto arrived to find several cars parked haphazardly, music thumping from within. He slipped inside. The living room, decorated in warm tones with plush sofas, was bustling with students. Some he recognized as Paulina's cheer squad friends. Others might be from the football team. Light laughter and chatter filled the air. Pop music played from an impressive sound system in the corner. Paulina spotted him from across the room. She wore a mint green off-the-shoulder top that perfectly complemented her brown skin, paired with fitted white jeans and low-heeled sandals. A delicate gold necklace gleamed at her collarbone. She excused herself from a small knot of admirers and walked to Naruto, beaming. "Naruto!" She gently touched his arm, her hazel eyes bright. "I'm so glad you came. I was starting to think you wouldn't." A small flush crept up his cheeks. He wasn't used to being greeted so enthusiastically. "I wouldn't miss it," he said, voice firm but warm. "Thanks for inviting me." She led him through the crowd. A few people tossed curious glances. Naruto wasn't known as the typical party type, except for that one previous bash with Paulina. He greeted them politely, unconcerned with any gossip. Soon enough, Paulina guided him to a quieter alcove near a window. The music was softer there, and they could talk without yelling. Her hand lingered against his, and there was an unspoken tenderness between them. "So," she said, brushing her hair back, "you've been dealing with a lot lately, right? All those ghost emergencies at school. Is everything okay?" Naruto hesitated, carefully considering what to say. He couldn't disclose the full truth of his involvement in ghost fighting, though rumors floated about him and Danny being close to the Phantom. "There's been stress," he admitted. My friends and I, sometimes butt heads. Sam and I especially." Paulina gave him a sympathetic look, sliding closer. "I've seen the tension. Sam's so intense, always pushing for protests and ethical stands. It's admirable, but also, you know." She shrugged. He nodded, glancing out the window where streetlights cast faint halos on the pavement. "Exactly. She has a good heart, but she can make you feel like a villain if you disagree with her methods. I stood up to her today, maybe a bit harshly." Paulina gently squeezed his hand. "You deserve to stand up for yourself. It's not healthy to let people walk all over you." Naruto locked eyes with her. Despite the swirl of guilt and unresolved tension in his chest, he felt an odd sense of relief. She was acknowledging his perspective without judgment or challenge. With Sam, it was always a challenge. "Thanks," he murmured. They settled into easy conversation. She asked about his training regimen. He vaguely mentioned martial arts. She recounted the day's cheer practice drama. Time slipped by in a pleasant hum. Eventually, she leaned in, voice dropping. "Want to step outside for some air? It's stuffy in here." He agreed, following her to a side porch. Cool night air wrapped around them as they emerged. Fairy lights dotted the porch railing, illuminating Paulina's features in a soft glow. She turned to face him, expression gentle. "I really liked talking to you at the last party. You're different from all the guys here, you know? Deeper. You actually listen and you have this incredible confidence." Naruto gave a sheepish grin. "Thanks. You've been easy to talk to. And your perspective on things reminds me about just enjoying simple things in life." Her hazel eyes searched his. "Is that why you're always so caught up in whatever it is you do?" He nodded slightly. "Something like that." Paulina stepped forward, bridging the small gap between them. The tension in her face suggested a mixture of longing and uncertainty. Naruto caught a faint whiff of her floral perfume, and a swirl of memory from their last meeting replayed, the hush of a dark room, the intense closeness of their conversation, and how it had ended with them getting intimate. He didn't resist as she placed a hand lightly on his chest. I like that night, she whispered, cheeks flushing. I know it was sudden, but I don't regret it. Naruto's heart thudded. Me neither. A soft breeze ruffled their hair. For a moment neither spoke. Then, with a slight tiptoe motion, Paulina pressed her lips to his. The kiss was gentle. They lingered there, pressed together under the porch lights, the night silent around them except for distant laughter from the party. When they finally broke apart, Paulina's eyes shone with emotion. She rested her forehead against his. I don't want to push you, she whispered. But I also don't want to pretend there's nothing here. Naruto inhaled unsteadily. I'm not sure where this is going, but I know I want to explore it. Is that okay? She nodded, a warm smile spreading across her face. It's more than okay. For a brief while, they stood there, simply holding each other. Naruto's phone buzzed once or twice. He guessed it might be Danny or Tucker checking on him, but he didn't check. Right now, the tension in his life receded, overshadowed by the comfort of Paulina's presence. Several days passed, and Naruto found himself avoiding Sam more than confronting her. After their public spat, she seemed content to ignore him, focusing on her own crusades and spending most of her time with Danny and Tucker. Danny tried multiple times to broker a peace, but Naruto would just shake his head, not yet ready to talk. In that gap, Naruto spent more time with Paulina. She wasn't exactly officially his girlfriend, but they shared moments between classes, traded text messages, and had late-night calls where they talked about trivial things that felt strangely important. Favorite music, silly inside jokes, half-hinted feelings. Meanwhile, the ghost attacks in Amity Park did not abate. Danny often rushed to fight them, sometimes with Tucker's help, and Sam joined in with her usual fervor. But Naruto started missing out. Partly from circumstance, partly because he was distancing himself. He didn't want to chase after them if Sam was there bristling with hostility. Eventually, Danny cornered him by the soccer field after school. The sky was overcast, a chill wind blowing fallen leaves across the grass. Naruto wore a gray hoodie with the sleeves rolled up, Echo hidden in a special harness beneath. He was gazing at the empty bleachers when Danny arrived, pressing an ecto-detecting device into Naruto's hand. Ghost trouble on the west side of town, Danny explained, voice urgent. Sam and Tucker are already investigating. I need your help. Naruto's jaw tightened. Sam's there? Yeah. Danny took a breath, frustration evident. Listen, I know you two are at odds, but can we please put that aside? This might be serious. Tucker's readings show intense ectoplasmic spikes. He said it might be some artifact we've never seen before. Naruto exhaled, glancing at the swirling gray clouds. Then he nodded firmly. All right. Let's go. He'd spent too much time nursing hurt pride. Ghost threats affected everyone, including people he cared about. He might have parted ways with Sam for now, but Danny and Tucker were still his friends, and the city needed him. That was enough reason to jump back in. They arrived at an abandoned office complex on Winden Road, a rundown 3-story building with cracked windows and graffiti scrawled on the walls. Tucker's urgent voice crackled over the group comms, small earpieces courtesy of Danny's parents' lab. Danny! Naruto! Over here! Sam's pinned down near the east wing. The ghost is using some kind of weird shield. We can't break it. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Let's move. They sprinted around the building, weaving past scattered debris. Near a smashed service entrance, Sam crouched behind a concrete pillar, black hair wild around her face. Her expression was tense as she fired a portable Fenton ectopistol at a shimmering barrier in midair. A tall, gaunt ghost, wreathed in swirling green light, clutched a jade amulet in its spindly claws. The amulet glowed with runic symbols. Every time Sam's pistol blasts neared the specter, the artifact flickered, forming a defensive barrier. Tucker hovered behind Sam, wearing a brown bomber jacket over his t-shirt and baggy pants. His goggles sat snugly on his forehead. We can't get through that shield. It's some sort of. He stopped short as Naruto arrived, panting slightly. Sam whipped around, scowl deepening at the sight of him. Finally decide to show up? Naruto bit back a retort, forcibly calm. I'm here now. Let's focus on that ghost. She grunted, turning away to resume fire. Danny flew overhead, charging a glowing green ectoblast in his hands. We need a plan. This ghost is tapping into a strange power source. Naruto clenched a fist. Whatever it is, let's remove it from that ghost. As he dashed forward, Sam hissed, Wait, watch your. Too late. The ghost raised the jade amulet, sending a roaring surge of green energy surging forward. It blasted Naruto off his feet, slamming him against the crumbling wall. Spots danced in his vision as he struggled up. Danny tried next, phasing intangible to slip behind the shield, but the amulet's glow flickered, forcing him back to solid form midair. He cursed, rolling away as another surge nearly clipped him. Sam advanced, teeth gritted, firing multiple shots. Naruto, we can't just. I've got it, Naruto snarled, shaking off the pain. He summoned a swirl of chakra, letting it flow down his arms. The swirling orange aura flickered with green undertones, residual ghostly energy from his time in Amity Park. He drew echo from its harness. Light glinted off its metal, and a faint hum filled the air. The ghost turned its sunken eyes on him, the amulet blazing. Meddling mortal, you think that toy can pierce an artifact forged in Pandora's fires? Naruto didn't bother replying. He sprang forward, blade whistling through the air. The green barrier crackled. Echo clashed against it in a shower of sparks. Sam fired from behind, while Danny bombarded from above. For a moment, it seemed their combined assault might overwhelm the ghost's shield. The specter screeched, forced onto the defensive. Then the amulet pulsed with an ominous glow. A swirl of energy coalesced around the ghost's clawed hand, focusing into a beam that blasted outward. Naruto backflipped away, but Sam, caught mid-reload, took the brunt of it. She was thrown back with a ragged cry, pistol clattering across the ground. Tucker shouted her name, running to her. She was alive, conscious, but shaken. Her glare fell on Naruto. If you'd listened to me, she coughed, struggling to stand. Naruto's temper snapped. Stop blaming me for everything, Sam. I was trying to help, you rushed in. Her violet eyes flared with anger. Rushed in? You were the one swinging your sword at a shield you didn't understand. Guys, focus! Danny yelled, sending an ectoblast at the ghost. The specter soared upward, hissing in frustration. The amulet flickered as though recharging. Before Naruto or Sam could continue their spat, the ghost unleashed a final wave of green lightning. The group scattered, diving behind debris. Then, with a horrible cackle, the specter soared away into the sky, presumably to regroup. In the aftermath, dust settled. Sam glowered at Naruto, fury snapping in her eyes. We lost it because you just had to show off, right? He stared back, equally incensed. Get over yourself, Sam. She scoffed and turned on her heel, storming away from the sight, black boots crunching broken glass. Tucker hurried after her, looking torn. Danny drifted down, white rings flickering around his waist, returning him to human form. He gave Naruto a helpless look. We'll meet back at the ops center. Let's figure out a strategy, okay? Naruto's jaw tightened. Sure. Later. Without waiting, he walked off in the opposite direction. If Sam wanted a war of pride, she just declared it. 2 more days passed. The tension between Sam and Naruto had boiled over. They avoided each other entirely, except for bitter quips when forced into the same space. Danny and Tucker tried to salvage team morale, but it was like pouring water into a sieve. At Casper High, rumors spread. Some whispered that Sam and Naruto had been secretly dating and now had a nasty breakup. Others said Naruto was turning traitor. Nobody had the real story, but the drama was enough to fan the flames. Finally, one afternoon after class, Sam cornered Naruto in a deserted hallway near the lockers. She wore a black mesh top over a purple camisole, black cargo pants with buckles, and heavy boots. Her black lipstick and sharp eyeliner accentuated her flashing eyes. He was grabbing a spare notebook from his locker when she approached. He noticed her reflection in the metal. He didn't turn. "We can't keep doing this," she said in a low, steely tone. He slammed the locker. "Agreed. So maybe we just don't talk." She stiffened, crossing her arms. "We're supposed to be on the same side, but you're off with Paulina every night. You've bailed on at least 2 ghost hunts this week. Meanwhile, I'm..." He whipped around. "I'm not your sidekick, Sam. Or your punching bag." They locked eyes, the hallway empty aside from them. Sam clenched her fists. "I never said you were my sidekick. But you're part of this team, and you're acting like it's not a priority. People need us. Danny needs us." Naruto's expression hardened. "I do help. I do fight. But every time I do something, you tear me down. Honestly? I'm sick of it." She opened her mouth, then snapped it shut, swallowing her angry retort. For a moment, her face flickered with something softer, hurt maybe, but it quickly vanished. "Fine. If that's how you feel, maybe we shouldn't be a team right now." He gave a tight shrug. "All right. I'll do my thing, you do yours. Good luck." With that, he brushed past her. She didn't stop him. Neither said another word. True to their words, Naruto and Sam parted ways. For the next few weeks, Naruto mostly avoided ghost battles if Sam was around. He still helped Danny and Tucker when urgent calls came, but if Sam was present, tensions rose so high that Danny found it easier to separate them. Throughout this time, Paulina served as Naruto's anchor. The more he confided in her, the more she listened, surprisingly offering thoughtful viewpoints. She admitted she didn't know the full ghost hunting details, but she understood conflict among friends. Naruto had made sure to get Danny's blessing and ensure him he had a loyalty-based seal that would prevent Paulina from speaking on the secret if both parties consented to the conditions. One evening, they strolled through Amity Park Mall, a sprawling complex with glass ceilings and neon signs. Paulina wore a soft lilac sundress and wedge sandals, her hair in a casual ponytail. Naruto wore his usual orange-black ensemble, though a bit more stylish than his mission gear. They shared smoothies from a kiosk, meandering past storefronts. Paulina recounted a comedic incident in sheer practice, making Naruto laugh for what felt like the first time in ages. Eventually, they sat on a bench near a decorative fountain, water trickling behind them. Paulina studied his profile, brow furrowed. "You're smiling, but your eyes look sad. Is it Sam?" Naruto exhaled. "In a way, yes. We used to be part of a great team. Now it's fractured." Paulina placed a warm hand on his arm. "If she's hurting you, maybe you need time apart. That's okay. Sometimes friendships change." He nodded slowly, swirling the straw in his smoothie. "I guess so. But part of me wonders if this is the right move. We fought ghosts together, saved each other's lives. Then, she started pushing me away, always on my case about everything." Paulina bit her lip. "I can't speak for Sam's motives, but you shouldn't compromise your own well-being. If the negativity is too much, it's normal to distance yourself." Naruto looked down at her hand, feeling a pang of gratitude. "You're right. Thanks." She leaned her head on his shoulder gently, the soft scent of her shampoo drifting up. The moment felt intimate, reassuring. "You're strong, Naruto. People see that. Just don't lose yourself trying to fix others who won't meet you halfway." Her words echoed in his mind. He turned, pressing a tender kiss to her temple. "I'll remember that." In the distance, a flash of green in the sky hinted at some ghostly disturbance. But for once, Naruto decided not to chase it down. Let Sam handle it. He needed a break. With the tension unresolved, Naruto found himself drifting. Days turned into a routine of partial involvement, helping Danny once in a while, training alone late at night, meeting Paulina for quiet dinners. Yet, an emptiness gnawed at him. One crisp dawn, he decided to meditate in a secluded clearing behind the nasty burger, where he and the team had once practiced ghost combat drills. The memory caused a wave of nostalgia, but he pushed it aside. Dressed in black athletic pants and a sleeveless orange top, he sat cross-legged, echo laid before him. He inhaled, letting the brisk morning air fill his lungs, then exhaled slowly, drawing on the chakra that swirled within him. He found a tranquil center, something he'd rarely done since arriving in Amity Park. The energies inside him shimmered, a melding of his shinobi lineage and the ghostly frequencies of this new dimension. Suddenly, a shift occurred in his consciousness. The clearing around him faded. He found himself in a vast, ethereal landscape that resembled a swirling ocean of golden clouds under a purple sky. Shocked, he realized he was somehow within his own mindscape, similar to how he'd once dreamed about Jinchuriki hosting tailed beasts from abstract memories. But he wasn't hosting a beast. It was something else. A figure emerged from the haze, a tall young man with the same spiky blonde hair, clad in an orange and black jacket reminiscent of a shinobi uniform, a leaf headband tied around his forehead. The figure smiled gently. "Hey there." Naruto stared. Who are you?" A warm chuckle escaped the figure's lips. "I'm you, or rather, the previous you. The fact that you can see me means you've tapped into the memory streams of our chakra." The reincarnated Naruto's eyes widened. "You're real?" I remember glimpses of Sasuke, Konoha battles. But I thought they were daydreams." The original Naruto nodded. Their memories, carried over by the chakra that found its way across worlds. You, my friend, are another incarnation. The cosmic balance. Sometimes it picks champions, shaping them with leftover energies from heroes in different realities. That's you? A swirl of awe, confusion, and a strange sense of belonging coursed through the reincarnated Naruto. So I'm not exactly you. But I have your chakra, your potential? And some memories, the original said with a grin. Despite what you were told during childhood, you are your own person. You have your own life. I'm just here to give advice, because I can sense you're struggling with your path. The new Naruto clenched his fists. I've been told I had the duty to fight against forces that threaten our world. That's all I was told since I could remember, why I was sent here. Since I've been here, I've been forced into these ghost battles, weird dimension shifts, and Sam's activism drama. And now we're not even on speaking terms. The original Naruto's gaze softened. I understand how it feels to juggle friendships and responsibilities. In my world, I had to find acceptance, keep my promises, fight for my friends. But your situation is different. You need to realize you have a right to define who you are, beyond just being a hero. The swirling golden clouds shifted overhead. A gentle breeze caressed them. The original Naruto continued, there are some things you can't solve on your own. And there are times you have to make difficult choices. I won't say you were in the wrong with your rift with Sam, but whether or not you choose to forgive her is your choice. And sometimes being merciful in itself can be the greatest cruelty if someone chooses not to change. Sam's path is her own. But you do have a duty, the cosmic balance. You have power that can help. Just don't lose yourself to the conflict. Embrace your humanity. Embrace your own feelings, and be at peace with them. That's the key. A wave of calm washed over the reincarnated Naruto. Tears prickled the corners of his eyes. I've been so confused, angry at Sam, angry at the ghost stuff. Angry that I was even brought here for a fight I never wanted to be a part of. But maybe I need to let go of controlling that. Just be me. The original grinned widely, that signature foxy grin. That's the spirit. You're Naruto Uzumaki, whatever dimension you're in. Now you'd best head back. Your friends need you, even if they don't say it. The new Naruto nodded, feeling a surge of renewed determination. Thank you. With that, the mindscape dissolved. He opened his eyes in the clearing. The sun had risen higher, bathing him in gentle warmth. Echo lay before him, pulsing with an almost comforting aura. He stood, heart lighter, mind clearer. He would be Naruto, not an echo, not a stand-in. He'd decide what that meant. But first, he needed to face his next steps, whatever they might be. Unbeknownst to Naruto, while he trained and reflected, Sam, Danny, and Tucker had stumbled upon dark developments. The ghost with the jade amulet had reappeared, apparently forging alliances with other restless spirits. Word on the ghostly grapevine suggested a major plot, reassembling multiple forbidden artifacts from Pandora's realm. In the Fenton Workshops Center, Sam paced restlessly. She hadn't slept well in days, dark circles under her eyes. Danny sat at the console, tapping on the keyboard. Tucker hovered behind him, goggles in place. Danny glanced over his shoulder. We've confirmed sightings of the ghost. It's not alone. Some lower-level spirits are helping it gather relics from hidden caches in the ghost zone. Tucker pointed to a 3D map of swirling green, representing a portion of the ghost zone. These spots here, and here where the ghost must be raiding from that Pandora being that was mentioned. Who knows what else it has now? Sam scowled. We have to stop it before it unleashes something catastrophic. Danny leaned back, running a hand through his hair. We need everyone on deck for this. We can't risk underestimating them. A flicker of hesitation crossed Sam's face. You want me to call Naruto? Tucker gave her a meaningful look. He's still part of the team, Sam, whether or not you two are on speaking terms. She clenched her jaw. Fine. I'll text him. But her voice betrayed a swirl of unresolved feelings. Naruto stood on the rooftop of his apartment building that afternoon, gazing over the city skyline. After his enlightening meditation, he felt calmer, more certain. He inhaled the crisp breeze, letting it fill him with renewed purpose. His phone buzzed. He checked the screen to see a message from Sam. We need your help. Major ghost threat. Meet at Fenton Works ASAP. Brief, direct. He exhaled, heart twinging. They might not be on good terms, but at least she was reaching out. The cosmic duty his original self had spoken of weighed on him. He typed back. On my way. Within half an hour, he walked into Fenton Works, heading upstairs to the ops center. Inside, Danny, Tucker, and Sam waited. Jack and Maddie Fenton were out on a separate ghost hunting errand, leaving the place to the teens. Sam avoided meeting his gaze initially, focusing on a holographic projection. She wore her typical outfit, though Naruto noticed she'd added a new black wrist cuff studded with purple stones. Tucker, in a red t-shirt and gray sweatpants, tapped at the console. Danny, sporting a navy jacket, nodded at Naruto in greeting. Danny cleared his throat. Thanks for coming, Naruto. Naruto folded his arms. So, what's the situation? Sam's voice was cool but businesslike. The ghost with the jade amulet is gathering more artifacts. There's no telling what abilities they might have. We have to intercept them before they combine the relics. Tucker brought up a city map. We believe the ghost's next target is an old mausoleum on the outskirts of the city, once used as a hideout for a warlord centuries ago. Naruto stepped closer. Then we go there first. Sam flicked a glance at him. Yes. But carefully. The mausoleum is a labyrinth. Their eyes met, tension still simmering. Yet they pushed past it, aligning on the mission. Danny mustered a small smile. We suit up, we go in, we stop the ghost. Easy, right? Naruto gave a short laugh, gaze still flicking to Sam. Easier said than done. But let's do it. That evening, the group assembled in front of the mausoleum. The structure loomed at the edge of a neglected cemetery, its stone columns cracked and covered in moss, gargoyles perched on the corners of the roof, silent and menacing. A full moon cast a pale glow, illuminating wilted vines clinging to the walls. Danny transformed into DannyPhantom, green eyes glowing in the night. Sam had traded her usual cargo pants for a sleek black bodysuit layered under a short pleated skirt, plus a lightweight vest with pockets for ghost hunting gear. Her hair was pinned back to keep it out of her face. Tucker sported a high-tech harness over a camouflage jacket, with utility pouches for various gadgets. He adjusted his goggles, scanning the area with ectoscopes. Naruto arrived in an updated combat outfit, black pants with orange trim, a lightweight short-sleeve hoodie made from a ghost-resistant fabric courtesy of the Phantons. At his back, Echo was strapped firmly, the hilt's swirl motif glinting faintly in the moonlight. Sam spoke tersely, "Let's get this over with." She moved ahead, not waiting for him. Naruto let her go, refusing to be baited into another argument. He and Danny followed, Tucker taking the rear. The heavy mausoleum doors creaked open under their combined effort, revealing a corridor of stone lit by flickering green torches, a sure sign of ectoplasmic presence. Inside, each footstep echoed. The group tensed, scanning for traps. Bizarre reliefs lined the walls, scenes of ghostly armies battling under storm-filled skies, the color palette varying between black, green, and silver. Danny floated slightly above the floor, keeping an eye out. "Sam, watch your left, some weird sensor on the wall." She nodded, carefully maneuvering around it. Tucker fiddled with a handheld device, mapping the structure as they went. Naruto, sword unsheathed, moved quietly behind, ears sharp for any movement. Suddenly, a swirl of green light erupted ahead, and the gaunt ghost from before materialized, brandishing the jade amulet. Two lesser ghost minions flanked it, swirling wraith-like shapes with clawed hands. The specter's voice boomed, echoing off the stone. "You are too late, children of the living. Another relic is already mine." It held up a twisted silver ring set with a luminous stone. Crackling arcs of ghostly energy flicked between the ring and the amulet, forming a lattice of supernatural power. Sam clenched her jaw. "Surrender those artifacts, or we'll force you to." The ghost cackled. "Foolish mortal! With Pandora's ring and amulet, I can bend space enough to banish you to oblivion." It raised both items, unleashing a shockwave. The corridor rumbled. Walls cracked, chunks of stone raining down. The lesser ghosts lunged. Danny soared to intercept them, blasting each with concentrated ecto-energy. Tucker ducked behind a sarcophagus, returning fire with a small ghost blaster. Sam advanced boldly, firing an ecto-pistol at the main specter. Naruto circled, harnessing the swirling chakra inside him. He locked eyes with Sam for a fraction of a second. Her face glowed in the greenish torchlight, determined yet overshadowed by tension. He gave a tiny nod. She returned it, unspoken agreement for now. They attacked in tandem, Sam's blast from the front, Naruto darting around for a flanking strike. The specter shielded itself with an energy barrier from the ring. But Sam's barrage forced it to focus forward, allowing Naruto to strike from behind. Echo slashed at the ghost's back. Sparks of green exploded. The specter howled, staggering. The ring's shield flickered. Sam's eyes widened. This was their chance. She leveled the pistol. "Now! She never finished. The ghost spun, amulet blazing. A swirling vortex of green erupted, faster than either of them could dodge. The energy wave crashed into Sam directly, crackling through her body with shocking intensity. For an instant, the entire corridor flashed emerald. "Sam!" Danny shouted, zooming forward, only to be thrown back by a secondary shockwave. Naruto shielded his face with his arms. Through the glare, he saw Sam's form outlined in swirling green flames. Her mouth opened in a silent scream, and then, in a heartbeat, she vanished as though pulled through a rip in reality. The ghost cackled triumphantly. "Fate be sealed, mortal! Lost between realms!" Tucker cried out, "No! Where is she? Bring her back!" But the specter only sneered, ring and amulet pulsing. "One down. You others shall follow soon." Naruto's heart pounded. His conflict with Sam momentarily forgotten, he snarled, "You'll follow soon, Ghost," and lunged. Sam awoke to find herself floating in a kaleidoscope of realities. No floor, no sky, just swirling shards of images, snippets of possible worlds. Her body felt weightless, her limbs heavy. Panic flared. She saw visions of herself in countless scenarios. A version of herself in college, even more radical, alienating every roommate by imposing strict rules about composting, zero-waste lifestyles, and intense political rants. In that timeline, she had no close friends, just people who tolerated her out of necessity. Another version of herself working a dead-end job after high school because she'd burned so many bridges that no one would offer her a recommendation. Her attire was still goth, but her eyes were hollow, bitterness etched into her face. Another Sam in her late 20s, giving fiery speeches at radical protests, but ignoring safety and nuance. She was physically exhausted, coping with stress by doubling down on righteous fury. She had no partner, no stable support network, just a rotating circle of equally burned out activists. Another Sam in a small apartment, alone, surrounded by newspaper clippings of environmental disasters. She typed furiously on a computer, ranting online with no real impact, her activism having devolved into rage without constructive action. These visions hammered her relentlessly. She felt each Sam's loneliness, the sting of losing friends who got tired of her moral posturing, romantic partners who left because every conversation turned into an argument about ethics, family that hardly spoke to her because she refused any compromise. 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, variations on a theme. Sam grew older, more isolated, more dogmatic, more miserable. She watched with horror as one version of herself lay in a threadbare bed, tears sliding down her face, whispering regrets that she'd never listened more, never gave people the benefit of the doubt, never admitted her own flaws. Time had no meaning. She cycled through these windows repeatedly, each reality echoing the same lesson. I'm so rigid, so uncompromising, everyone leaves. The weight of it pressed on her chest. Stop, she gasped, but the visions didn't relent. Over and over, she saw the path her life could take if she clung to her black and white worldview, if she refused to communicate respectfully, if she kept belittling those who disagreed, like Naruto, who she'd pushed away with her harsh judgments. A whimper escaped her. I never wanted to be alone. I thought being strong meant never bending. An echoing voice, her own, rippled through the void sometimes. Letting someone in is the greatest strength. She felt tears burn her eyes. I messed up, she whispered. I messed up with Naruto, with everyone. I drive them away because I can't see past my own convictions. That's not how I want to live. The swirl of realities slowed, as though her epiphany granted a reprieve. She found herself in a dim, silent space, shards of mirrored fragments floating around her, each showing a variant Sam. She reached out, touching one gently. I'm sorry, she told that reflection, an older Sam, hollow-eyed. We'll do better. In that moment of emotional clarity, a spark of faint hope glowed in her chest. Maybe there was a way out. Maybe, if she found her path back, she could change. Back in the mausoleum, chaos reigned. The ghost hurled blasts of artifact power, warping the corridors. Chunks of ceiling collapsed, unveiling swirling green voids overhead. Danny fended off the lesser spirits, pushing them into Tucker's line of fire. Tucker's ghost blaster hummed, striking them down one by one. Naruto, eyes blazing with fury and concern, hammered the main specter with swift slashes from Echo. Sparks erupted with each impact, forcing the ghost to retreat deeper into the chamber. The ghost hissed, ring and amulet crackling. You fight so fiercely for that mortal girl, it snarled. She is gone, lost in illusions. You cannot bring her back. Naruto's voice was cold steel. Watch us. He feinted left, then twisted, letting chakra flare through Echo. The blade glowed bright, slicing through the spectral barrier. The ghost shrieked, stumbling. The ring and amulet fizzled momentarily, giving Tucker an opening to toss a specialized Fenton net. It wrapped around the specter's torso, sizzling with containment energy. Freed from illusions, the lesser ghosts had fled. Naruto rushed forward, grabbing the amulet. The ghost convulsed, swirling green light coursing through the net. "You dare to!" "Shut up!" Naruto barked. He gripped the jade amulet, feeling it vibrate with cosmic power. "How do we get Sam back?" The specter spat ectoplasmic drool. "She is beyond saving. A castaway in the labyrinth of possibilities. No mortal can." Naruto's eyes narrowed, recalling the conversation with his original self. "Embrace your humanity, your real feelings." He pulled on that determination, letting it merge with his swirling chakra. The amulet responded, flaring bright. "Danny!" Tucker yelled over the roar of swirling energies. "We have to fuse the ring's power with the amulet, open a stable portal, or Sam's stuck forever." Danny nodded, intangible for a moment to avoid flying debris. "Let's do it." With the ghost pinned, Tucker wrested the ring from its clawed hand. Another shock of ectoplasmic recoil forced him to grit his teeth, but he held on. Then he tossed it to Danny, who glowed with ghost energy, channeling his power into the ring. Naruto pressed the amulet to the ring's gem. "Focus on Sam," he urged Danny. "We can direct the energy to her signature, or something. Maybe your ghost sense can lock onto her?" Danny closed his eyes, green aura radiating. "I'll try." The ghost, pinned and furious, struggled in the net. "Fools! Mortal minds cannot harness Pandora's relics safely. You will tear yourself apart." But they had no choice. Tucker typed frantically on his PDA. "I'm cross-referencing Sam's ectofrequency from old data. Maybe we can aim the portal if we align the ring's energy with that signature." Naruto let the swirl of chakra flow from him into the amulet. Danny channeled ghost energy into the ring. Tucker fed the frequency alignment. The combined power grew, building into a swirling vortex of green and white, forming a rip in the air. "Please work," Naruto whispered, every muscle straining. "Sam, hold on." In the kaleidoscope dimension, Sam felt a sudden pull. The swirling shards glowed with fresh light, and through the haze, she glimpsed a swirling portal opening, a tear in the fabric of illusions. She heard faint echoes of Danny's voice, Tucker's frantic typing, and Naruto's determined shout. A wave of relief, laced with guilt and longing, washed over her. "They're trying to save me. Even after all I did." She pressed her hand against the portal, the illusions resisting. The mirrored shards showed her unflattering futures. But she'd seen enough to know she didn't want that path. She wanted to grow, to be strong and flexible. Gritting her teeth, she mustered every ounce of will to push through the barrier. The illusions tore at her mind, accusations of hypocrisy, fear of losing her identity if she changed. But she forced herself forward. "I can still be me," she hissed, tears rolling down her cheeks. "But a better me." The illusions cracked, shards dissolving. She stumbled through the portal's threshold, a violent flash enveloping her. For a moment, everything was white noise. Then, abruptly, she reappeared in the mausoleum corridor, collapsing to her knees. Her breath came in ragged gasps. The swirling portal behind her snapped shut. Danny, Tucker, and Naruto stood there, battered but triumphant. Sam raised her eyes, raw relief flooding her. "You saved me." Danny exhaled in a laugh, dropping from his phantom form to normal. Tucker grinned widely, running to her side. "You're alive." Naruto, drenched in sweat, stepped forward, fists clenched around the amulet. His eyes shone with a mix of concern and lingering tension. "Sam." She swallowed. So many words jammed in her throat, apologies, gratitude, guilt. She settled on a trembling "thank you." He nodded stiffly. "Of course. We couldn't leave you." The ghost screeched in rage, still trapped in the net. Tucker quickly zapped it with a ghost containment ray, while Danny unleashed a final ectoblast. You're done, Danny muttered. Naruto approached, eyes cold. Where are the rest of Pandora's artifacts? Who else is working with you? The specter spat. I serve no one. The relics are mine by right. If you keep them, others will come for them. You cannot hold them all forever. Sam, still unsteady, glared at the ghost. We'll figure it out, and keep them safe. Another blast from Tucker's device shrank the ghost further into intangible form until it was contained in the Phantom thermos. The relics, ring and amulet, clattered to the ground. Naruto picked them up carefully, each pulsing with residual power. Tucker scanned them, nodding. We'll store them in the Phantom vault for now. We can't let these get back into circulation. Sam's gaze lingered on the ring. A tremor passed through her, recalling how it had banished her to those horrifying illusions. Yes, keep them locked away, please. Later, outside the mausoleum, the group regrouped under the moonlit sky. The night air felt cold against their sweat and bruises. Danny, still drained from the ghostly wail, sat on a fallen column, groaning slightly. Tucker fussed over the relics, sealing them in a ghost-proof container. Naruto stared at Sam from a short distance away, uncertain how to approach. Finally, Sam walked to him. She tied her hair up, face smudged with dust, tears long dried. She opened her mouth, paused, then forced herself to speak. Naruto, I was so wrong. The admission trembled on her lips. I saw things. Future versions of me, if I don't change. It was terrifying. I treat people like they owe me alignment with my beliefs. And it's not fair. I push them away. I push you away. Naruto studied her, heart twisting. He recalled her condemnation, her moral grandstanding, his own frustration. But seeing her vulnerable now, battered by that experience. I'm listening, he said quietly. She inhaled shakily. I don't want to be that Sam in those realities. Alone, bitter, self-righteous, I still want to fight for what I believe in, but not at the cost of my friends. Not at the cost of losing myself to stubborn pride. A pang of empathy filled him. Sam, that means a lot to hear. I'm sorry, too. For letting my anger blind me. For ignoring the team at times. I was hurt, but I shouldn't have gone, am I? She lifted her eyes to his. Is there a chance we can fix this? Our friendship? Slowly, Naruto nodded. I think so. But let's be real with each other. No more constant guilt trips, no more name-calling or moral purity tests. I'll respect your passion, and you respect me, too. She swallowed, tears threatening again, but her gaze steadied. I promise. I'll try my best. Just don't abandon me if I slip up. I'm not perfect. His expression softened, a small smile tugging at his lips. None of us are perfect. We'll figure it out. They shared a tentative hug, Sam's arms around his waist, his around her shoulders. Warm relief coursed through them both. Tucker, watching from the side, grinned widely. Danny, leaning on the broken column, gave a thumbs up. At last, the bitterness that had torn the team apart began to mend. Over the following week, Sam's reappearance spread quickly through Casper High. The official story was that she'd been missing for a day due to family issues, but a few whispers suggested a ghostly incident. Sam herself walked the halls with a changed aura. She still wore her goth attire. Today it was a black top layered under a fishnet shirt, a short green plaid skirt, and knee-high black boots, but there was a softer energy in her eyes. When confronted by a classmate with an environmental question, she answered passionately but asked the classmate's thoughts, too, truly listening. Naruto, for his part, resumed a place in the group. People still asked if he and Sam were at war, but they seemed to exist now in a calmer synergy. One afternoon in the Fenton Works lab, Sam arrived carrying a box of dissection-free biology kit prototypes. She found Naruto tinkering with an ectoblade design, Tucker rummaging for parts, and Danny finishing an ectoplasmic calibration. She gave a small wave. Hey! Naruto looked up, offering a friendly nod. Hey, you need a hand? She bit her lip, glancing at the ground. Actually, I just wanted to say thanks again. And see if you wanted to train together later. I'm working on new Ghost Ward gadgets, and I'd love your input. He smiled gently. Sure. Let's do it. Danny hopped down from a stool, clapping. Good to see you two cooperating again. Tucker chimed in, adjusting his goggles. Amity Park is definitely safer when you guys aren't ripping each other's heads off. Sam stuck out her tongue at Tucker, but it was playful. Don't push your luck. A round of laughter filled the lab. They each recognized that challenges lay ahead, but for the moment, they stood together, a team once more. That evening, under the soft glow of streetlights, Naruto and Sam walked side by side along Amity Park's main avenue. Danny and Tucker had parted ways after training, leaving the two of them an opportunity for real conversation. Sam cleared her throat. Look, I just wanted to explain something. My parents, they're always pushing me to fit into their upper-class mold. I rebelled so hard, wanting to prove I was different, that I guess I made it my entire identity. It spilled into everything, and I started imposing that rebellion on everyone around me. Naruto listened intently, the memory of his conversation with the original Naruto drifting through his mind. I get it. You wanted to be yourself, but it became more about not being them. Right? She sighed. Exactly. And I realize now I can be an activist, care about the planet, animals, all that, but I don't have to do it with such hostility. I can stand for something without standing against every single person who doesn't see it my way. Naruto nodded thoughtfully. That's a good approach. You know, ironically, a wise version of me once said, we can't control others, we can only control ourselves and how we interact with them. Or something like that. She raised a brow. You're talking about that reincarnation thing you hinted at the other day? He smiled. Yeah. It's complicated, but basically, I have fragments of another life in me. It taught me we can push for what's right without turning the world into our enemy. Because we need friends, alliances. Sam kicked a small pebble. You're right. I guess we both had revelations, huh? Guess so. They reached a small park, street lamps lighting a path through neatly trimmed hedges. Sam paused by a bench, turning to Naruto. I know we're not the same, and I'm sure we'll argue. But I value you, your perspective, your heart. I want you on the team, and as a friend. He chuckled, a genuine warmth in his voice. Likewise. I won't hold back my opinions, though. She flashed a lopsided grin. I wouldn't expect anything less. They stood under the lamplight, feeling the hush of night around them. In the days that followed, Sam's growth was evident, but Naruto's personal life held complexities. He still spent time with Paulina, who had become dear to him in a quiet, supportive way. Yet he knew she suspected something deeper about his ghost involvement. Finally, one Sunday afternoon, Paulina invited Naruto to a quiet cafe on the outskirts of town. She wore a white sundress with delicate floral patterns, her hair in a half-up style. Naruto arrived in a casual short-sleeve hoodie and jeans. They took a booth by the window, sharing a plate of churros and hot chocolate. Paulina reached across the table, fingers grazing his. So, I see you work things out with Sam. I just wonder where that leaves us. Naruto's heart pinched. You mean us? She nodded, swirling a cho in chocolate. I'm not demanding you stop. I just need to know if you're going to fully rejoin them, risk your life every night. That's big. I care about you, Naruto. His expression softened. He hadn't realized how much she worried. Paulina, there's a balance. I can't ignore my responsibilities. But that doesn't mean I don't want you in my life. She studied him with warm hazel eyes. Then I'm okay with it, mostly. I just want honesty. If you get called into a ghost fight, don't vanish on me without a word, okay? He chuckled ruefully. Deal. And thanks for understanding. She squeezed his hand. I never expected to like a guy who fights ghosts with a sword. But here we are. A grin touched his lips. Here we are indeed. Though the path ahead was still uncertain, he couldn't predict how Sam might react to his closeness with Paulina, or how the cosmic events would unfold. He felt a sense of contentment, that he could have different friendships, different relationships, without losing who he was. A week later, the group convened in Fentonworks again, after BPizing further ghost reports. Still, the vibe in the ops center was hopeful. At one point, Sam found herself next to Naruto, examining a blueprint of a sealed crypt. So, are you and Paulina, like, a thing? He scratched his cheek, feeling a bit self-conscious. We're taking it slow. But yeah, we have something. For a moment, Sam's features flickered with complexity. Old jealousy? A sense of acceptance? She exhaled. I'm happy for you. She's not who I expected you to connect with, but if she's good to you, then that's all that matters. He gave a small smile. Thanks. She's helped me stay grounded. A subtle nod. That's good. No further friction. Just an understanding. Sam turned her attention back to the blueprint. The future, uncertain but open, stretched before them. She had her convictions, but she also had a new willingness to compromise, listen, and grow. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story. And also don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.